Coach, when we look at the defensive line, we see guys, running in and out, making plays and doing different things. When you really break it down, what's been the biggest key as far as this group and the improvement that you continue to make each week?
I just think the buy-in, I think, you lose a core group. We talked about this earlier in the season. You lose a Gelati and a Puryear and a Destel, guys that have been mainstays. You're concerned about, the leadership and just the work ethic from the top down that you're going to get. And I thought, we had, Jordan and Renee were coming back. You had a guy like A.J. Green that was coming back, but was still somewhat of a young guy. I think Cleb Lubin, has been a guy that's embraced that role, not just from his leadership, but tremendous work ethic. And I just think from day one, he's kind of grabbed the group and led. And don't have a lot of egos in the room. Certainly these guys all want to make plays, but they understand that, we're going to try to rotate guys in, keep guys fresh, and there's been a lot of buy-in. I think we've all heard Ron say that, not just from one position group, but the entire defense. And so I think that's been the biggest thing. It's been a fun group to be around and coach, and being relevant late in the season. You get into November, and we're kind of in that position right now. So I think guys are having fun and guys are locked in, and just want to keep it going.
Have you ever coached a team before that the top two leaders in pass breakups were defensive linemen?
No, it's been fun to watch. That's certainly been a key stat for us this year. We've deflected and batted some balls down, and not just led to getting off the field on third down, but led to takeaways, led to some interceptions and things of that nature. So that certainly has provided a boost. We talked from day one about making the quarterback uncomfortable, pressuring the quarterback, and again, everybody wants to get wrapped up in sacks, and we all love sacks, right? But if you can make the quarterback uncomfortable, there's a variety of ways you can do it. You can get him to hurry. You can hit him legally, which has become tougher nowadays. You can just get him to have happy feet, or you can get your hand up and bat balls down, especially guys that have a lower trajectory. So all those have kind of come to play, but certainly batting balls down has been fun to watch. Renee's done it a bunch, but Cleb had one a couple weeks ago that led to the interception by Jordan. So, something we emphasize every day. It's just good to see it show up. We talk about matching the quarterback's hand, and our guys have done a good job of that.
Mark, you guys are obviously top 10, top 20 in a lot of statistical categories among FBS teams. A lot of good play this season, but where do you feel like you guys still have to go as far as the D-line to get maybe where you feel like the potential of this group can be?
It's hard to just look at one thing. I think looking at just taking last week's game, the Virginia Tech game, they got 160 on the ground, and we certainly want to keep it down around 100. Obviously we won the game. That was most important, but defending the run. Now, with that being said, the quarterback run game that Virginia Tech presented, it's a challenge, and trying to get those extra hats in there. I think third down's another area. We're not quite where we want to be on third down. Boston College 2 weeks ago was able to kind of control things early in the game and convert some third down. So we want to get that, down around 30%, maybe under where we were a couple of years ago. Tightening up in the red zone is still a key for us. We want to do, and one thing that Ron is really focused on is handling sudden change better. That can pop up at any time, and we addressed that a couple of weeks ago, and I think we've seen improvement there. But we still, we got to handle those situations better. Sometimes the natural reaction of defense is just kind of to drop their head and pout a little bit. I've always said, that's what you sign up for when you play defense, right? I mean, you're called to go out and defend, not just to have them backed up, right? But any spot on the field. And I think our guys have responded in a positive way. So I think those areas, getting a little bit better on third down, continuing, red zone, trying to tighten up, things, and then handling the sudden change would be probably the three things. And like I said, from last week's game, just, getting our rush defense back down to where it's been most of the season, right around 100 or even under.
You mentioned A.J. Green earlier. What's the progression been like for him? It seems like he's getting more snaps, or at least more comfortable when he's in there.
Well, one thing we try to do, from day one of fall camp is we want to identify our best pass rushers, and be able to get them out on the field on third down. And really, that core group has been Clev, it's been Wes, it's been Sticks, as we call him, AJ, and Renee. And so that's kind of our cheetah package. Now, some teams don't allow us to get that out there because maybe they don't sub and threaten to go tempo on you. So, but I just think that he's always been a good pass rusher. I think the thing that really showed up in last week's game was how he defended the run game. He was in on 6 tackles. Didn't have a ton of opportunities just because they were chipping with the backs on the edges. They were leaving the tight ends in to delay and bang our edge pieces. And they were going to get the ball out fast. I mean, that's the one thing. We knew if Virginia Tech had to get in a throwing game, they either weren't going to hold up in protection or they were going to have to get the ball out fast, which was going to help the coverage, and that really kind of showed out at the end of the game. But back to Sticks, I thought, last Saturday was just a big step for him just in his run defense. He's always, had those long arms, so he's able to set the edge, but getting in on 6 tackles in a game where they really wanted to run the ball and control the clock, I thought was a huge step for him. So love seeing his progress, and then he showed great leadership on the sideline throughout the game. Really proud of our team overall, just to go in down, what was it, 16-7 at half, and then come out and play a dominant second half. So on to the next, but we've seen good progression from AJ and really from all of our guys. We just want to keep it rolling.
You mentioned on to the next. Cal's got a nice young quarterback who's been impressive this year. But when you look at them, what kind of challenges are they presenting for your defense?
Well, the quarterback, number one, I mean, he can make all the throws. Everybody that we've called around and talked to, I mean, he's, he reminds me, and I was at Indiana back 18, 19, and 20 when we had Michael Penix. Now, people would say, well, he just reminds you because he's a lefty. Well, but he can make all the throws just like Michael Penix could. And I'm not saying that he's going to have that type of future, but that's kind of the skill set that he shows. He's got enough athletic ability to extend plays, to scramble and do some things. Probably doesn't present as much of a running threat maybe as some of the quarterbacks that we've played, but he can, if stuff's covered, he can hurt you there. So that's where it starts. Are really big up front. The backs and the receivers are all capable players. So when it's a team that, is I think coming in here 5-3, 5-4. So, I think they're a win away from being bowl eligible. So just another quality opponent that we've got to hone in on. And we're in the early stages of our game plan right now, really doing the early down stuff. But it's an offense that's going to motion and give you different formations and try to spread you out. So they're going to present some challenges that way to still have enough guys committed to the box to stop the run, but be able to get out to the perimeter. We've done a pretty good job of getting out there and bottling stuff up. They're kind of going to stretch you both ways. So we just got to be on top of things. And but for us, it's the next game, and I know our guys are excited about coming back here, another night game at home, and just looking to get to work on Saturday night.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks everybody.